My excitement is immeasurable. It cannot be contained. At last, finally, the Jack Atlas structure deck, known as Pulse of the King. I think it has a couple of other roughly translated names from the Japanese version. It's finally out in Japan. We have it. It's here. It's real. It finally exists, and the TCG version is still a few months away in September. And I went ahead and bought a Japanese version, and I want to open it here as a video. You're probably thinking, this is a terrible idea for a video. You can just look up the card list online or watch somebody in Japan that's already opened it, and you're 100% correct. But I'm having fun, so I'm going to ignore that and do this anyway. The last OCG structure deck that I opened was the R Dragoonity Drive one, which we did not get in the TCG. Instead, they took those cards and put them into a side set like they did for the Gemini structure deck, the Gearfried one, as well as the Agents one, which was really disappointing. And then they have the audacity to go and give us like the Ice Barrier one and the Charmer one and the Crystal Beast one, which, you know, I get that those are fan favorites or whatever, but at least we got the Dark World one as a proper structure deck. And the Traptrix one was unexpected, but it was very, very good. So I'm happy about that. This structure deck, however, probably not going to have any significant impact on the competitive TCG. The one thing that it seems to lack, judging by the card list, and you'll see this for yourself as we open this Japanese version, is a lack of any meaningful common reprints that will impact the competitive game. No impermanence, no Pot of Prosperity, no anything really like that. Not even like an Ash Blossom or anything like that. But with the OCG version, there's so many, you know, new cards in it, and usually what they've been doing is taking they'll reprint like a chase card in the OCG version and take it out for the TCG version and put a less powerful card in there because Japan has had those cards longer and the reprint is less impactful. But for this, it's like there was nothing really in there at all. So I don't suspect that this deck will have a big competitive impact, but I am very, very excited about it because, of course, I am the big Jack Atlas apologist, and, you know, I do the cosplay and everything, so I have to make this deck my entire personality. And so those of you who are big fans of 5Ds and big fans of the character like I am will be happy to know that I'm planning to do a lot of content around this box when it comes out in the TCG. I have a local shop that's already hooked me up with an entire display box, and so I'm going to do several different things. Obviously, I'm going to do an optimal deck profile of the fully constructed strategy with the new cards for Red Dragon Archfiend when they all come out, but I will also do a common charity version of the deck and a version of the deck that you can make by just opening 3 structure decks. So there'll be lots of content with the deck itself, and I think because I'll be buying the display box, be it all my friends that have been learning, I've been teaching how to play the game, I'm going to do like a little sealed only tournament at the house where we each play with just one of the structure decks straight out of the box, so that I can talk about, you know, if you go to a tournament side event at something like a YCS, which is a thing that happens, you can play in, you know, sealed only side events where all you do is open the structure decks and play with that, and to see what the meta sort of is within that sealed only structure deck tournament environment. So it's a pretty cool idea. So looking at the contents of the structure deck, obviously we have the playmat that nobody really cares about. We have this token card right here of Jack Atlas, which is just so adorable. I love this. I'm so glad this exists. It probably will not be a foil in the TCG version, or maybe it'll just be like the token. It'll be the token border and not the vanilla monster border, so that's really cool. We have, of course, the structure deck itself and this power-up pack, which gives us all of our synchros, one of which can be a variant rarity, a secret rare, and the rest are in super rare. So let's go ahead and open up this bad boy and talk about some of these new cards. So I did a video several months ago about the cards from the structure deck that were revealed at the time, and new cards have been revealed since then that have definitely changed my impression of the deck, and I think I have somewhat of an optimal version of the strategy figured out. The good thing is that it is remarkably consistent. You do have lots of room for non-engine in there, so you can play things like, you know, good hand traps and triple tactics talents and Dark Ruler No Mores and Board Breakers and stuff like that. But there's supposed to be a little pull tab, but I can't find the end of it on here. The downside is that the deck still has the same very clear choke points of if you negate like Red Rising Dragon, for instance, there's a chance that you might be just stuck, which is not a good place to be. So the first new card we have here. All right, so the first new card here we have is Soul Resonator, and this card is incredible. It's actually the best normal summon in the deck, and if you don't open Crimson Resonator and you still want to use Crimson Resonator's effect with Red Rising Dragon, this card will allow you to do that over the course of your combo. So the things it lets you search are incredible. It also cuts down on the need for Resonator Command, because Resonator Command is an awesome spell card that has a massive search pool, but the downside of it is that you have to discard a Resonator. This kind of bypasses that restriction. I love this so much. We have the new Fortune Resonator, which is a direct reference to Carly and the Fortune Ladies and the beloved scoop shipping that the fan base loves, where we support Jack and Carly together. And this card is another part of the combo. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what it does. Obviously, I can't just go and read it, so I'll have to pull it up on the simulator. I predicted, and I talked about this, that we would get a new level 4 Fiend, and we get this Bone Resonator right here. So he is a good normal summon if you open Crimson Resonator, but he can also be an extender. He can summon himself out for free with a discard. So if you normal summon the Soul Resonator, you can still get to this guy. Then you can modulate the level of the Soul Resonator down to where you can still Synchro 6 with this guy. So this is one of my favorite new cards, and this rarity right here is what they call Normal Parallel in Japan. It's essentially a common with this extra gloss layer on top that lets you get those parallel rare foil lines through it. This is a win more card that was made for Red Dragon Archery. It's the Absoluto Power Force, and it's basically just a win more card that lets you deal more damage with Red Dragon Archfiend, and it's cool, but it's probably not going to see play. This card is one of the last, I think the last card to be announced for the structure deck, and it is probably the best card in the deck. It is searchable. It lets you search another, card that lists Red Dragon Archery in its name, so you can search the trap, which is really good. And on the follow-up, it lets you turn Red Dragon Archfiend into Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and lets you destroy all of your opponents. It lets you flip all your opponent's monsters face down and destroy all of them. It's pretty awesome. And then this is Fiendish Golem, which is a card that lets you banish a monster with 2,000 or more attack on the field, which could be one of your own guys for protection, or one of your opponents if it's big. And you get to set Fiendish Chain directly from your deck, which is another negate. So right now we're not playing this in the versions of the deck we're testing, but I think that this deck has a lot of potential, and certainly if you're playing the sealed only version, you'll definitely give this a shot. And then this one is the Red Zone, which is another reference to the lyrics of Clear Mind, the song Clear Mind of 5Ds. It's a reference to the lyrics. But this card is an interruption when you have Red Dragon Archery on the field, and you search it off the spell card. So this card's really good. Now on to the reprints. We've got Dark Resonator, Creation Resonator, which is a very necessary reprint for the TCG because this card only has 2 printings. It's seen play a couple of times, and it shot up to something like $8 or something like that. So I think it's less than that now, but it's still around like the $3 to $5 mark. So this card does need a reprint in the TCG really bad. And it's a free extender from hand if you control a level 8 or higher synchro. And it's still worth playing 1, even though we have a much, much better level 3 Synchron, or a level 3 Resonator now with Soul Resonator. We've got the Synchron Resonator, that's still at least a 1 of. The Red Resonator, surprisingly, not needed at all in this version of the deck now with the new support. Not really needed to be played at all. Still a great generic card. It's really funny this card has won games with Sprite. Crimson Resonator, one of the best Resonators, obviously. And then on to the non-tuners, we've got, of course, Vice Dragon. Not very good, but it's one of Jack Atlas's signature cards. Believe it or not, Battlefigure is one of Jack Atlas's signature cards as well from the anime. We've got Red Sprinter from Arc 5, Red Warg, which again will not see play. Wandering King Wildwind is still really good, not just because he's almost always a free special summon from hand in this deck, but he also has the ability to recur a card, which is an ability that comes up a lot more often in this version of the deck than before. So we still play that one, although we'll probably cut down on copies of it. I don't remember this guy's name. It's like Archfiend. it's not Archfiend Cavalry. It's something like that from the. It would be from the 5Ds manga. There's Magical King Moonstar, also from the 5Ds manga. And the Absolute King Backjack, which is not a card that has synergy with this deck really at all, but it is a very trap-heavy deck out of the box. So it is kind of cool that they gave you this. Red Dragon Archfiend Assault Mode. This is going to be interesting for Common Charity, because maybe in Common Charity you can make a Assault Mode version of the deck, supported by, of course, the Assault Beast and the Reflector. Reflector is also an enabler in a lot of Synchro decks, so this card may be a consideration. This, I think, is an awesome reprint, and this would actually make Synchro decks really powerful in Common Charity, is the Ascator Dawnwalker and the Fire Ant Ascator combo. So these two are, this one summons itself from hand for free and summons this guy from the deck and makes a level 8 Synchro immediately. This is a consideration in the Red Dragon Archfiend deck, but I just think that the in-archetype cards are probably a little bit better because they usually are adding cards to hand off of those free summons as opposed to just making a level 8 Synchro. But it is nice that you can make a level 8 without committing any other cards to your combo yet, but we'll see. I don't think that card is going to be played in the constructed version, but it will definitely be played in the sealed version and the Common Charity version. We've got Danger Nessie and Chupacabra, which Chupacabra has already been put in a common in a TCG structure deck. So if Nessie is a common in this deck, that's a good reprint. We just had a preprint of this in the last Battles of Legend, but to see this at common will be nice, but again, not really all that synergistic with the deck. I mean, this one is a little bit more synergistic by virtue of being a level 4, but this one doesn't really do anything. Well, it's a level 7, so I guess this plus a level 1 tuner makes a level 8, but not the most synergistic things with this strategy. I feel like with this, you are not going to catch me. I am never going to be caught dead playing Witch of the Black Forest in a Red Dragon Archfiend deck. It's been played in the deck by consensus for people for years now, and I feel like that meme with the one actor. I'll have to put a meme on the meme of it on screen, but it's like, if I see one more of these goddamn things, I swear to God, I'm gonna. That's how I feel about this right now. Absolutely not will you catch my ass playing that. All right, on to the spells. We've got Resonator Engine, Resonator Call, which is really good to see, and Resonator Command, which again is a crazy busted card. We've got Burning Soul, which I'm still disappointed is not searchable, but I'm sure if they did make it searchable, that just would be really overpowered, because you could make King Calamity in your opponent's standby phase pretty much guaranteed and prevent them from having a turn, which would result in them being killed immediately. And then this is disappointing. So it's Pot of Extravagance, which is a nice reprint and will be played in the sealed version of this deck, but we're probably at the point in the OCG where this could have been Prosperity, and it's a little bit disappointing that it's not. And if Konami wants this deck to sell well in the TCG version, they may consider upgrading this or upgrading one of the cards in here to a chase card. Maybe not Prosperity. I think it's definitely way too soon to do Prosperity at common, but we definitely need some other chase card in here, because there's no Ash Blossom, no other hand traps, no Nibiru, nothing really driving this deck to be purchased by competitive players at all in the TCG. So traps, we've got King Synchro, we've got Red Rain, which is already available at common, but it's really cool to see that. We've got Time to Stand Up, which is a card that I want to play in Red Dragon Archfiend so bad, because it's a negate in the graveyard, but unfortunately none of the new cards set it up the way that I want them to. So I considered playing this at 1 or playing the Proofiness, the Tactical Trapper or whatever, but it doesn't work the way that I intended it to work, so I just don't think that's going to be viable, but I'll keep playing around with it. We've got, of course, the Fiendish Chain to add off of the Fiendish Golem. What is that? Reject Reborn or Shuffle Reborn? It's one of those. And I think it's Reject Reborn. And then Assault Mode Activate. And then I think this is Terrors from Overroot instead of Terrors from Underroot, so that's really cool to see. That's a decent trap, but it was already available at super low rarity, so. And then we have the extra synchros at the back. So we've got a super rare version of Red Supernova Dragon. And then we've got our normal parallel versions of Scarlight, Abyss, and Bane. So if this is going to indicate anything, then with the TCG version of the deck, we will probably have these 3 at common, which means a common Abyss is absolutely huge for common charity format. It'll be easily made in this deck and will probably be the central boss monster of it at common, because right now the common charity version is basically just Beel's Turbo, and we need like something else good to make, and to make that, you know, it'll basically be a it's one of the only like extra deck negates in that format, and it will be the boss monster of the deck. So very, very cool. Here we go with the power up pack. I'm not sure which of these monsters I want to see as the secret rare. Really, any of them will do. And this is also where we get the new cover card, the Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. Wow, opening that sucked. That was not pleasant at all. And hopefully the cards are not damaged. There's like a layer of glue in there that just refused to separate. Come on, wow, this is really bad. Okay, so the contents of our power-up pack is the vanilla Red Dragon Archfiend in super rare. We've got the... Oh, okay. So our secret rare is Red Nova Dragon, original Red Nova Dragon, which again I was going to be happy with any of them, but this is a variant. So if you open one of the Japanese versions of this, any one of these cards could be the secret rare, which means we've got King Calamity in super rare, Red Rising Dragon in super rare, and of course the new Scar Red Nova Dragon, the cover card, in ultra rare, as always will be. So, all right, that is going to do it for this quick little opening. So definitely look forward to lots of more content on this deck when the TCG version comes out, and I will see you guys then.